Good afternoon, all. Am I audible? Is my screen visible? So in today's session, we'll continue with the previous sessions evaluation, performance evaluation topic onwards. In the previous session, we had completed the measurement part of the quality cycle. How you collect data, which areas of the organization or which areas of the work you have to collect data on. These topics were discussed. Coming to evaluating performance activities, there are different steps into it, 3 steps of this performance evaluation. First, you display the measurement data. So whatever data collection you have done, okay, whatever data collection has been done, you have to show it on screen. You have to use specific statistics, graph charts, histogram, bar graph, pie chart. Okay, these charts can be a picturesque representation of your measurement data. You can't put just paragraphs of words in the measurement data. Okay, paragraphs of words cannot be put in the measurement data. You have to use some pictures. Just by looking at them, it is understandable for the audience. Okay, so that is displaying data, measurement data. Then once you have displayed, once it is on screen, people will discuss. Okay, they will compare what was the objective and how are things being done. Okay, actual performance and the expectation. Okay, the comparison is very easy because the picturesque representation is right in front of everyone. Okay, so comparison will be done. Then determining whether action is required or not. When you do the comparison, if there is a huge gap between the performance and the expectation, okay, action has to be taken. Okay, something somewhere went wrong. That's the reason why you are very far away from the expectation or your objectives. So action need to be taken. Otherwise, if the gap is too low or you have surpassed, if you have surpassed your expectations, okay, your performance had surpassed the expectation, then there is no action that is required. Okay, so that will be determined in the third step. Should we do something about it or should we not? Okay. So displaying data, there are certain rules to it. It should be in a format from which conclusions can be easily drawn. Okay, display of the data should be in such a way from which you can easily draw your conclusions. Okay, factors to be considered: type of data that you're reporting, because based on the type of data you will have to choose your display chart. Okay, is it a qualitative data, quantitative data, number based data, or a explanation based data? What type of data or what type of information you want to report? Okay, that is one thing. Second is audience, to whom. Okay, if you use radar charts and all, a person who does not know anything about Six Sigma or quality, if you show them radar chart, they will not understand. Okay, if you show somebody who is from the housekeeping department, if you show them scatter chart, they will not understand. Okay, you should understand whom are you showing this data to. Are they capable enough to understand if you choose a specific type of chart? Okay, so you have to know who your audience is, how much you can share, what to share, how to share, when to share. Okay, that has to be understood. And the information's intended use. What will the audience do with this information? Okay, you can't show everything to everyone. Okay, you can't show off all the information and facts to every audience. Okay, you have to classify them based on the based on their roles. Okay, so based on what work profile they have, only so much information can be displayed. Because what if the audience unintentionally leak out the important information? How it can be used in a bad way as well. The facts that you have collected, the information that you have collected, it can go into wrong hands as well. Okay, so you should know how the information that you are going to show or display, how will it be used? Okay, it will be used for you or it will be used against you. Okay, so you should know how the information will be used and what are you planning to do with the information as well. Okay, what processes are you planning to do with this facts and information as well? That also should be clear to you. Is it clear to all so far, the factors to be considered before you display data or before you choose a chart to display your data? Next is presentations should provide accurate and reliable information to help audience answer the following question. So whatever chart you will use for your audience, at the end of the presentation, your audience should be able to answer these questions. Okay. If your audience are going to answer all these questions, it means your presentation was successful. They completely understood, okay, what is going on right now, where we are headed towards. Okay, that is understood by the audience. If they are not able to answer these questions, means the charts that you have chosen does not work well. So what is the current performance? Just by looking at the data that you are showing to the audience, the audience should be able to understand, are we in loss or are we in profit? Are we doing good or are we doing bad? Okay. Is there a trend in the data? Trend means over time, the shift in performance, that is trend. Okay, from the past 6 months, how many medication errors are happening? If you put that on the graph, okay, and show it toward the audience, your audience will understand. With time, are are you decreasing your medication errors, or is there an increase in the medication error, or is it the same? It's neither decreasing nor increasing. When you show a graph, people will be able to understand. That is called trend. Because why trend? Or trend depends on time. Over a period of time, you were collecting data and you show it on the graph. That is a trend. Should action be taken? Okay, just when you show the graph to the audience, they will understand how we are performing right now, and since the past these many months or weeks, how we are performing. When you ask them, do we need to improve? Okay, based on the collective guidance, they should be able to answer this question. Should we change something or should we not? If you're successful, nothing needs to be changed. If you're lagging behind, your audience themselves will say, okay, we need to change something, we need something, some other better plans. And what kind of action? This is a brainstorming session. This is optional. Okay, uh, sometimes you may not require the exact audience who are present to give you answers on what action need to be taken. You can stop the meeting at the third question, and you can only invite a specific audience who can contribute towards the problem solving to discuss on what action can be taken. This is a brainstorming session. Okay. So different tools that we use in displaying data: pie chart, pyramid chart, radar chart, histogram, bar graph, scatter diagram, line graph. Okay, so pie chart, first one is, it's a circular chart. It's a circular statistic graph that is divided into slices to illustrate any numerical portion. Okay, so the whole pie chart, the area is 100%. Okay, so slices will show which specific topic has the major contribution, which specific topic has the most least contribution. Anyone who looks at a pie chart will be able to answer it. Okay. Next, we have pyramid chart. It is also called triangle diagram. And the triangle is divided into horizontal section, and it is used to represent hierarchy and also the area covered by a particular department. Okay, because of the chart's shape, each section has a different size and width. It indicates the level of hierarchy and the number of people working in that hierarchy. Okay, so for example, in this hierarchy chart, if you convert this into top management, middle management, and operational management, you will always find that the topmost management will have the least number of employees, but they are handling everything. The operational management has the most number of employees. They're spread through various departments. So it is showing the hierarchy in your organization, plus it is representing the vastness of the, or the numerical representation of the employees under each organization, under each level of management as well. Okay, so that's one example. Then you have radar chart. So radar chart is a graphical method of displaying multivariate data in the form of a two-dimensional chart or three-dimensional, or even more quantity variables can be represented, okay, starting from the same point. So multivariate data means if you want to compare two or more departments under certain categories, okay, two or more departments to be compared under certain categories, or two or more hospitals to be compared under certain categories, radar charts are the best charts to go on. For example, you can see here three restaurants are being compared. Restaurant 1, 2, and 3. But the quality of these three restaurants are compared on the same indices: quality, variety, food quality, ambience, affordability. Okay. So the areas in which you are drawing the comparison remains the same, but the restaurants are different. Different restaurants can be compared on the very same indices. Okay. And how do you tell which restaurant is the most successful? The restaurant that has the highest number of area covered. Okay, you can see here red area, green area, pink area. Okay, the restaurant, the not pink, blue area. Okay, so looking at this chart, what do you think? Which restaurant has the least performance? Which restaurant will you give the third position? It's not pink, it is actually blue. Okay, blue restaurant, because blue, when it mixes up with red, it is showing some pinkish purple color. But you can't even see the blue much. Only if you look properly in the sides, okay, on the left side, if you look properly, slight a small blue part you can see. On the right side, a very small triangle you can see. Okay, so blue restaurant is covering the least amount of area, which means blue restaurant is the one who is performing the lowest. Okay, and which restaurant do you think is performing the highest? Which restaurant do you think has the maximum number of areas covered? Just by looking at the color, which do you think, which restaurant is performing the best? Yes, it is the red restaurant. Okay, because it has out of 5 categories, okay, out of 5, in 3 of the category, the red restaurant is already getting 5 marks. Okay, from this each circle, if you take, it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, each of the circumferences, okay, they carry a score. So the red restaurant, 3 out of 5, it has got 5 out of 5 scores. Okay, so that helps the red restaurant to cover major part of the area, okay, of the radar chart. Is it clear how radar charts are being used? If you show this radar chart to a blue collar employee, they will not be able to understand it. Okay, so if it is a housekeeping staff's meeting or conference, you will never use radar chart for them. You will use bar graph, pie chart, histogram, these kind of simple charts for them, or a run chart, line chart that can be used. Okay, is it clear to all how radar chart is used, how to understand radar chart? Next is histogram. So histogram is a bar-like representation of data that buckets a range of outcomes into columns along the x-axis. Okay, so all continuous data like height, weight, age, okay, these things are continuous in nature. Only after being 1 year old you can be 2 year old. You have to go in this direction. You can't be 1 year old at one time and directly jump to 10 year old the other time. It cannot happen. Okay, so histogram, the y-axis represents number, count, percentage, and occurrences, and x-axis is the outcome usually. Okay, so continuous data, to represent continuous data, you will use histogram. To represent discrete data, you will use bar graph. Okay, this is a bar graph. You can see here the difference between histogram and bar graph is the spaces between the column. Okay, so on bar graph, you will not use continuous data. You will use discrete data. Discrete data will not overlap each other. For example, countries. USA is not the same as UK. USA is a completely different category. UK is a completely different category. They cannot overlap. Okay. So such discrete data will be used on bar graph. Gender-based data, males, females, other gender. Okay. It does not overlap. Okay, you will have to be discreet about it. You have to categorize them. Okay, so bar chart or bar graph represents categorical data with rectangular bars with heights or lengths proportional to the values that they represent. And the bars can, here the bars are vertical, the bars can be horizontal as well, which means you can plot the bar graph either on the x-axis or the y-axis. Next you have scatter diagram. So scatter diagram is used to show the relationship between two kinds of data. It could be the relationship between cause and effect, between one cause and other, or even between one cause and two other causes as well. Okay, so just to show, if I change something in category A, will category B respond to this change? Okay, to get answers out of this curiosity, you use scatter diagram. Okay, for example, correlation means the if I change something on x-axis, how will y-axis act? Okay, if I change something on y-axis, how will x-axis act? To find this, scatter diagram is used. Okay, so positive correlation, as one variable increases, the other variable also increases, which means when you increase the number in x-axis, the y-axis also increases. For example, the more you smoke, the more is the risk for cancer. More smoking equals to more risk of cancer, higher risk of cancer. So there is an increase on both the sides. Positive correlation. Okay. Negative correlation. When you decrease one variable, the other variable increases. Okay. The more you exercise, when you exercise more, you lose a lot of weight. So one part, your exercise routine is increasing, your weight is decreasing. That is negative correlation. As one variable increases, the other decreases. For example, this is no correlation, when there is no relationship between two variables. Okay, having apple a day and the chance of getting needle stick injury. having apple a day and a chance of getting needle stick injury. There is no correlation at all. It's completely coincidental. Okay. Then we have line graph. So line graph is a type of chart used to show information that changes over time. Everyone can understand that. January, February, March, April. How did you perform? You put it on the graph. You dot it on the graph. Okay. You connect the dots. You see a trend happening. Either it is going upwards or downwards. And then you can understand, are we doing well or not, just by looking at the graph. Okay. So you plot line graphs using several dots or points, connect them by straight lines. You get a line graph. You do this on x-axis, y-axis. So this is an example of a line graph. Okay, just by looking at, if I ask you the question in the from January to June, in comparison to January and June, how are we performing? Is it good or is it bad? It's a good performance. Okay, so just by looking at the line graph, you are not even looking at the data, you're not reading the x-axis, you are not reading how many sales you have made, but you're not looking at the y-axis number also. Just by looking the way how this graph is plotted, it's going up, going down, everyone can understand this. Okay, so this is a line graph over a period of time from October to June. Okay, how were you performing? Comparing results to expectations. Measurement without defined performance expectation does not contribute to quality improvement. Okay, if you don't have expectations, you are directionless. You should need expectations, you should have objectives and goals to start action. Without goals and objectives, blankly if you're doing actions, you will not reach anywhere. Performance goals are quantifiable estimates or results expected to for a given period of time, which means when you are setting a performance goal, it has to be based on numbers, quantifiable. Okay, qualifiable means I will do good next year. That is a qualifiable statement. You want to do good next year, but in which area? How much good? What is your definition of good? If I say to you, I will do good next year, you may think, okay, I will be taking 10 other classes next year. In my mind, it could be I will be taking just 5 other classes. So there is a clash, there is confusion. So when I say I will be taking 5 more classes by the end of next year, okay, so it's 5, that is a number 5, and by the end of next year, which means by December 2025. Okay, everything is very clear cut. Okay, everything is very clear cut. How much classes exactly I am challenging myself up to, and by what time I have to achieve this challenge, everything is very clear. So this is quantifiable. Okay, so goals whatever you set, performance goals whatever you set, it should be quantifiable. Okay, is it clear to all? Next, smart objectives. Okay, whatever goals you set or whatever targets you set, okay, it has to be SMART. S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, R for relevant, T for time bound. For example, if I say I will do extra classes by next year, okay, I am not being specific in which subjects will I be taking extra classes by next year. I'm not specifying which month of next year. Is it the start, mid, end? I'm not given all that. So I have to be specific. I will be taking extra classes in quality control by next year. 5 more extra classes in quality control by the end of next year. Okay, by the end of December. So that is more specific, measurable. Okay, people should be able to count how many classes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, whatever action I'm taking, the results of it should be measurable, attainable. Okay, I am not posting I will take 100 classes by the end of next year, 100 extra additional classes in all subjects by next year. No, it is not attainable. Okay, it's impossible. It has something should be that is opportunistically possible for me to do. It is under my capacity to do. Okay, that is attainable. Okay, whatever objects you set or goals you set should be attainable. Okay, and relevant. I will not say I have not said that I will take some philosophy classes by next year. That is not relevant to this subject. Okay, I have to take classes relevant to my profession. Should be quality control management. Okay, so we have to be specific in that area also. And time bound, I have mentioned in the objective that by the end of December 31st. Okay, so I'm giving myself a time. By this time, this objective should be completed. Okay, so these are the characteristics of a perfect objective or a goal that you set. Smart objectives or smart targets, smart objectives, smart goals, whatever you call it. Okay, so these 5 characteristics should be there in the objective that you set. Is it clear to all? So setting expectations, performance expectations should be established for every measure. Okay. When you want to see how a hospital is performing, you will not see how the ICU is doing. You will have to see how the emergency is doing, how the laboratory is doing, how the administrative department is doing. Okay. How the radiology department is doing. Every area of the hospital will have its own performance expectations. Every department will have its own performance expectation to an area where they can do the best. Okay, so performance expectation should be established for every measure, every department. These are based in the part of internal quality priorities influenced by the needs of stakeholders. Those who are the main decision makers, that is the top management and the stakeholders. Okay, they will have certain needs out of the organization. More profit means their stake will go high. Okay, their share in your property in your organization will go high. More profit means, so internally quality has to be maintained. Organization quality has to be maintained. If there is no quality, there will be no profit. If there is no profit, shares of the stakeholders will fall down. Okay. Government regulation and accreditation standards influence an organization's desired performance level. It's the government and the local law also plays its own influence in making sure the organization performs in certain area. Okay, rules or the government's laws, rules, drug and cosmetic act, so many acts are there which the hospital has to follow. Okay, these acts and regulations are there in the first place, that quality is the foundation of all the organization. Okay, then you have benchmarking, learning about the practices of the other companies for the purpose of using them in your own organization as a standard for comparison. For example, any hospital in India will compare itself to AIIMS, okay, or Leelavati in Mumbai, Fortis in Delhi, okay. So every hospital will draw its comparison to these major hospitals in India who have a really good name in the work that they do, okay. So that is benchmarking, seeing how the best one in your field is doing and setting yourself up till their level. That is benchmarking. Looking at the AIMS India, how it is functioning, AIMS New Delhi, how it is functioning, and setting yourself up to that level. That is benchmarking. So benchmarking uses a level of performance achieved by an exemplary or a world-class organization as a standard for comparison. Okay. It functions like a scoreboard. The best score is already given to somebody else, but now you are trying to reach up to that score. But then we have performance variation. Variation means what? Some deviation, something that is not normal, different from the usual. That is variation, different from the usual. So performance stability is evaluated by looking at the degree of variation. Okay. Things, how you do it today. Okay. For example, if you cook something, cook a cup of dal today, or you make biryani today, and next week also you make biryani, it will not be the exact same taste. Okay. It will have slight variation. If you're using the same procedure, same recipe, also if you're using it the same way, okay, but still some variation will be there in the first biryani and the second biryani. Okay, that is the degree of variation, but it will not be that huge, that it will not be completely two different recipes at all, completely different taste. No, slight variation will be there. So that is, you have to look at the degree of variation. It is different, you agree that it is different, it was not like the last time, but how different? Is it too different, or is it is almost similar? So there are two types. Common cause variation, which is inherent. Okay. You may have forgotten one or two spices, just one or two spices, and that changed the flavor profile only a little bit. And it happens every time. Common cause variation happens every time. It is common. Okay. On a daily basis or once in a week, this issue happens. You lose certain spices and the taste comes out good but slightly different. Okay. Something is missing. It is inherent. It is very common. Everywhere you see this. Special cause variation is unexpected. Okay. Maybe you overcooked, or some part of the biryani, it got stuck because of overcooking, it got stuck in the pan, and uh, it tastes like charred. Okay, charred rice. Okay, so it is unexpected, it was not expected, it completely changes the flavor profile. So this is a big change. Okay, it does not at all taste anything similar to the last biryani, so it's a big variation, special cause variation, unexpected. Okay. In hospital scenario, um, giving the patient, slightly overdosing the patient, or giving the patient morning drug in the afternoon time. Okay, delaying the patient's medication by half an hour, that is common cause variation, it is very common. Special cause variation is giving the wrong blood to the wrong patient. That is unexpected, it does not happen very often. Okay, you give the wrong blood to the wrong patient, it is not that common, it is very rare. Okay, that is unexpected. That is special cause variation. So when common cause variations happen, variations have two types: common cause, special cause. When common cause variation, that happens usually, okay, they are removed by making a change, or removed by the management. People who work within the department, they can tackle common cause variation. Okay, they do some change in the procedure or practice culture. Okay, they shift things slightly within the department, so that this commonly occurring error will not take place anymore. Okay, management themselves can tackle this issue. But when special cause variation happens, you will have to call somebody who deals with these kind of scenario, somebody who's a quality assurance analyst, okay, from the quality department. Or you may call some consultant from somewhere else. You may sometimes have a third party investigate the matter, how things went wrong, why it went wrong. Okay, sometimes the law enforcement, maybe if it is a suicide case or something like that, a homicide or a murder in the hospital, special cost variation. It never happens. It is not common to see such situations happen in hospital. It's a special cost variation. So a third party will be involved here: law enforcement, court, churches, news, media. Okay, these things will be involved here. Okay, so that is special cost variation. Is it clear to all? Then we have tampering. Tampering occurs when something is done in a reaction to a performance result without knowing whether the result was caused by natural variation in the process or something unusual. For example, if you read the statement, you will find it difficult to understand. But with example, you will understand. If tomorrow is the audit, okay, tomorrow is the audit, and I am the manager of a certain department which is going to get audited tomorrow, I will do some changes in my department in such a way that if there were mistakes, these mistakes will not come up tomorrow. I am tampering the data. I'm doing some mischief, okay, in such a way that the mistakes will be hidden. It should not be found out tomorrow. This is tampering. Is it clear what tampering means? If you had 10 medication errors in this month, you change the medical records in such a way that it shows only 3 or 4 medication errors in this month. Okay, this is called tampering. Purposefully you are doing nudging the areas of audit in such a way that tomorrow it should not be caught. It is the wrong thing. It should not be done. That is called tampering. Okay, when tampering has been done, and if tomorrow an auditor comes and I have already tampered something in my department, okay, how will the auditor determine if action is needed or not? Okay, in the it's the final phase of performance assessment. So measurement results should be reported and performance is evident. The extent of performance variation is also apparent. Okay, so once the audit is done, okay, the auditor knows how the department has functioned. Okay, if there is any variation, that is also known to the auditor now. Performance gap is also understood by the auditor now. Okay, difference between actual performance and expected performance is also understood. Okay, what was the thing that we were aiming for, and where are we right now? Okay, so there is a gap in that is also identified. So what are the how the auditor will understand we need and performance improvement in this department? So first of all, if the performance does not meet the expectations, there are no signs of special cost variation, and on top of that, the performance does not meet expectations. Nothing drastic or unheard of ever happened in the department, and on top of that, the performance of the department is not up to mark. You definitely require an improvement model. You have to change a lot of things in your department. Okay, nothing drastic happened in your department. On top of that, the department is not meeting the expectations. Performance improvement is required. Performance is meeting the expectation, but there were a sign of special cost variation. Okay, something very drastic, unheard of, okay, out of the blue, something very unexpected, a tragedy happened in the department, but still the department is meeting the expectation. Okay, so some tampering is done. Okay. Here you will understand staffs must have tampered with some documents even after so many issues that happened. Still, on paper it is showing that the department is meeting the expectations, department is following the goals. Okay, it means some major tampering was done by the staff. Okay, so improvement is required. And the third case is the performance does not meet the expectations. Okay, the department has not met the goals, and on top of that, special cost variation also happened. Some tragedy happened, some unexpected event happened, and also performance expectations were not met. Okay, So here also you will give a performance improvement guidance. So designing performance improvement, this is the last phase of quality management. So projects are initiated when measurement data reveal there is a gap. You understand there is a gap in performance. This is where performance improvement project will come into play. So in performance improvement step, you have to define the improvement goal. By the end of this new solution, okay, we will be reaching to this milestone. Okay, you have to define that even before you start your big change, you have to announce your goal. Why are you doing this and what you are striving to achieve with this? Analyze the current practices, what's happening right now, to identify exactly where things need to be changed. Design and implement improvements once you have identified where exactly things have to be changed. Okay, don't just write it down and forget about it. You have to implement it. You have to take action on it. Okay. Then once you have taken action on it, wherever changes has to be implemented, you measure the success. Whatever actions you have taken recently, is it giving you fruitful results or not? Okay, that's how you measure the success. So these are the performance improvement steps. How does the process work now? You have to answer these questions, then you are automatically doing. When you get the answer of these questions, you are in a performance improvement state. Okay, how does the process work right now? You look at the for example, you take the billing department. Okay, you see how the billing department is working right now. Okay, in step 2, you will identify which area in the billing department improvement is required, where and all improvement can be done. Okay, those areas you will list out in your paper. And now you have listed out which area you want changes to be done. How will you change it? What are your ideas here? Okay, so you will write down all the ideas and then you implement it also. Okay, how do we measure and track the performance after implementing your ideas, new ideas you have for billing department? You watch the billing department, use your ideas for a week, okay, and see how it is functioning. Whatever problems you have seen during the step 1 and step 2, is that those problems, are they getting resolved or not in step 4? Okay, so these are the performance improvement steps. Models of performance improvement we will do in the next class.